And then that puts us into the rumor mill. Rumor mill is kind of the best part of being a nerd, I think. It's where you get to play make-believe with multi-billion-dollar corporations. It's kind of like fantasy football, but with a lot less concussions and a lot more spandex. So this is what we got for rumor mill this week, nerds.
Maybe. It's classified.
Welcome, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is the reason why I'm convinced most people watch The Week in Nerddom as a whole. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, over on the main channel, Generally Nerdy, this is a small portion of the main show that I do on that channel called The Week in Nerddom. We talk about movie news and gaming news and comic books and so on and so forth. And we talk about the rumor mill as well, which, you know, that's why you tuned in, because you want to hear all of the juicy gossip as to what's going to be happening in the pop culture sphere of things, comic book movies, comic books, etc., etc. We get into every aspect of the nerddom here as it pertains to what is rumored to be happening, or we're going to kill some rumors, or we're going to shoot some stuff down based on the weakness of the person who is leaking the information, the rumor monger, if you will. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump into the rumor mill, shall we? Confirmations, refutations, we actually have one of each. I think that's only in technicality, though. I think we'll get into it. So the first one is we got to pour one out for the homie, because it would seem that Charlie Cox has totally shot down all of our hopes and dreams for a Daredevil Spider-Man movie to happen, as he has said that he is not going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, is he lying? Well, it wouldn't be the first time that Marvel paid an actor to lie to us. So it's possible. However, his denial seems very firm, and he seems to be, at the very least, trying to convince us that him being in London at the same time they're filming Spider-Man is purely coincidental, and he's filming something else. Primarily, his superhero brain is focused on the next season of Daredevil and not doing cameos in these other projects. So, as it stands right now, we're going to mark this rumor disappointingly, but somehow thoroughly debunked. And then in the confirmation column, which again, maybe a little bit, in the confirmation column, we have James Gunn kind of confirming that the DCU is not safe if Warner Brothers gets bought out. In a recent interview with the Boba Talks podcast, he hit a really hard hesitation and almost let some information slip, laughing off whether or not he'll be sticking around post Warner Brothers sale. Insiders are definitely saying that if Warner Brothers gets bought out, Gunn is going to be the first one on the chopping block, and kind of everything associated with him will just fall off, including the DCU. If Paramount or whoever does, then the Chapter 1 of Gods and Monsters, the reboot that is going on, is going to be dead. It seems that some other rumor mongers in this vein are reporting that the Superman family films, once we have the next one, which is supposed to be Supergirl, if it does poorly, then that is a sure sign that Gunn is going to be getting the axe. So, kind of confirmed. Then we have a new source for an old rumor, the old rumor being Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk in Spider-Man Brand New Day. We have recently seen, and you're hopefully seeing on your screen, some still images that were leaked from set showing Mark Ruffalo bruised up as Bruce Banner. Now, the fact that he is not in any sort of motion capture getup would imply that he is going to be live action, not motion captured with some sort of bruising. Now that's significant because if you know the character from the comic books, you know that in order to save Bruce, Hulk takes over whenever there is any sort of imminent danger or threat of pain or issue to the body of Bruce Banner, because Hulk has a healing factor that kind of goes crazy whenever Bruce gets hurt. This seems to imply that we are going to be getting Savage Hulk as the antagonist in Brand New Day, but not like we thought we were going to when the rumor originally leaked out. It would seem that with Bruce Banner having physical bruises on his being, that would seem to imply that Bruce and Hulk are going to split physical beings from one another. So the big green monster is going to go crazy because he's no longer attached to Bruce Banner, which has happened in the comics and would honestly be pretty dang fan servicey if they did it in the movies. This honestly could be very interesting. We will definitely be keeping tabs here. So now let's get into the new rumors, shall we? That's why you're all here anyway. This is the rumor mill, for crying out loud. First up, we have a new rumor that suggests that the villain for the Batman 2, Matt Reeves' next movie, the sequel to the original Robert Pattinson Batman movie from 2019, I believe, is going to in fact be none other than the master manipulator himself, Hugo Strange. There's really not a bunch to go on here other than the validity of the leaker, so that's fairly good. We're going to say about 75%, because Hugo Strange, oddly enough, I think fits super well in the Reeves verse, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. Then we have a video game rumor that is Resident Evil 0 is going to be the next Capcom Resident Evil reboot. This one goes a step further, though, that says not only are we going to get a proper reboot of the story, but we're also going to get an expanded story as well, which is cool because if I remember correctly, the development for Resident Evil 0, they were forced to cut the story in order for time. So there's a lot to do there that could theoretically give us the complete story we were supposed to get back in the day. The rumor continues on to specifically say that a 2028 release window is what is to be expected. Video game rumors often are correct because I don't have bad sources for that one. Mostly because I think a lot of the gaming developers themselves leak out the information themselves in order to build hype for their projects. So that's kind of why the rumors for gaming usually pan out. So we're going to say this one's about 80% likely because we know they're on a reboot kick, or a remake kick, I guess, for their Resident Evil games. We also know that in the storyline, Resident Evil 0 makes sense as far as the development goes there too. So yeah, that's Then we have two Star Wars rumors. One of them very specific to do with Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie. We have a new report from a reportedly quality source, though I don't know explicitly what else this source has released previously. I'm just kind of going on the word of others who have, leaked information from this source that has panned out. I just don't know specifically what it is, but we have rumor that in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that we are going to be getting approximately 10 minutes of a helmetless Pedro Pascal as Din Jarin. After the backlash of his FaceTime that we got previously in previous seasons of Mandalorian and Grogu, it seems kind of unlikely, but also kind of seems like something Pedro would want to do considering he's the Hollywood it boy right now. So there's a fair amount on both sides of this one. We're going to say 50% and split the difference. And then our other Star Wars rumor is a little bit more esoteric in nature, in that it has recently come out, and there's a little bit of hard evidence to back this up, but it has recently come out that a lot of the we'll call it mistrust of Kathleen Kennedy has been misplaced. According to this source, it was Bob Iger who was to blame for a lot of, not all, but a lot of the issues that the community has had with the state of Star Wars and how it got there. In a recent interview, Adam Driver said that it was explicitly Bob Iger and the Disney machine at large, and not Kathleen Kennedy, who shot down his idea for a Kylo Ren solo movie. This source that used that as their concrete evidence then goes on to say that the Mandalorian and Grogu pivot to a movie instead of another season. We have the Solo issues, the rise of Skywalker debacle. All of these things can all be traced down to Bob Iger and a little bit of Bob Chapek, but mostly Bob Iger, his issues with George Lucas. Now again, Kathleen Kennedy is not 100% blameless in this situation. See previously referenced "the Force is female" nonsense, but the rumor reports that by and large, again, not exclusively, but by and large, she was scapegoated by a meddling CEO. So, being as there is no real way for us to substantiate this, it's kind of hard to go one way or the other, but I feel like the Adam Driver interview recently does do a little bit to tip the scales, so we're going to say 60% likely on this one.
Oh, hey nerds. So, just here to remind you this week that subscribing is great. You should do that. It really doesn't cost you much, and it helps us make this show happen. It also keeps me fed, so that's a good thing too, right? You don't want a dragon to get hungry, so hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends. We've gotten a lot of comments recently talking about how, people think we do a good job here, so let your friends know if that's the case, and it really helps us out even more that way. So, yeah, there you go. Either way, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for feeding me. Let's get back to nerdy things. Okay, bye.
Now let's talk about speculation. This is my personal speculation on a couple of these stories that we've talked about previously. First up, related to Spider-Man Brand New Day, we also have leaked images of Sadie Sink. There have been plenty of theories as to who exactly she's going to be playing in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm pretty sure I'm coming around to the idea with these leaked images that she is going to be Mary Jane Watson, in fact, but it is going to be Mary Jane from an alternate universe, hence why we don't see a costume. She's bundled up in a coat on set because they don't want to reveal her costume because it's going to be some sort of Spider-Man variant, I'm sure. And then my other piece of speculation, no ridiculous speculation this week, no made up story, but my other piece of speculation this week is the Zack Snyder stuff that's been going crazy all over the internet, all over social media and whatnot the last few days. A lot of people are saying it's because Zack Snyder wants back into the MC or to the DCU, wants to come back and direct. What was it that reported in the rumor mill previously? Dark Knight. He wants to do a live-action Dark Knight adaptation, is the rumor. After having actually looked at his social media posts, I really think that this is just nonsense. This is just him being nostalgic, waxing poetic on a time gone by. This is him and his wishful thinking of the things that could have been, not wishful thinking for the things he wants to be. So yeah, I think this is just him being happy he did what he did and reminiscing on that, and that's about it. So that is what we have for our Rumor Mill Nerds. That is basically everything. All right, nerds, look at this t-shirt design. Just look at it. On the one hand, you have the birth of cinematic horror, the iconic, from about a century ago, the iconic Phantom of the Opera. And then on the other hand, you have text in a font from some modern deathcore that probably is from a band that has a song about disemboweling something. This isn't just a shirt, this is a modern cultural statement. It says, "I enjoy the classics, but I also like music that sounds like a washing machine full of bricks falling down a flight of stairs." It's about balance, it's about art, it's about being the most specific nerd as possible. And you can get yours by following the link down in the description or going to generally-nerdy.creator-spring.com and check out some of the other designs up there too, because I'm quite proud of all of them. But this is my favorite, I think, by far. Either way, go check it out. Let's get back to this. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of these sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, probably here.